You know what? It's time to start building my mega base. Last time in Minecraft Hardcore, we had to build 2 farms and fight a wither to get a beacon to make it super easy to get all the materials we can actually want to make this base before I turn 30 years old. So today we built a piglin farm so we never have to waste time getting food, and we start working on the mega base. It's not finished yet, but it's looking really cool. If you go on to enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It helps out a bunch, but let's get into it. So I managed to find this area near the oak village that I discovered last episode or whenever I built my creeper farm, and I wanted to build my mega base near that. Luckily, this whole area is going to look completely different by the time we're done anyway, so this big area next to the village is actually going to be perfect for that. I don't exactly know how many blocks I'm going to need to build this entire base. I know most Minecraft YouTubers you might watch that build insane things in hardcore Minecraft know exactly what blocks they need and down to like the number of them. That's not me. I don't do that. So I kind of just got digging, and after I got a bunch, I came back up. However, to make just one line of the base, like one bit of a tiny bit of the base, it was 70 blocks, so this was going to take a while. As I was digging and then building a little bit more and then going back to digging and then building a little bit more, I spent ages working on this part of the base, mainly because I wanted to check how tall I was actually building it. My main fear with this build is that it was going to look weird and out of proportion, and like one bit was going to be too tall and then the next bit was going to be too short, or like I start them too early and it doesn't look good. I wanted it to be really good, so I spent ages checking to make sure that where I was putting the blocks was the right place to be putting them. Right now, I know it looks a little bit plain because it's all stone brick, but at some point in the future, I am going to add a bunch of detail to it. And even later in this video, we're going to make it so it's not just a huge temple plopped onto the ground. It's actually going to hopefully be in its own jungle. So I built a few walls of this mega base, and I kind of realized fairly quickly that I was going to be doing a lot of building and a lot of mining, and that requires a lot of food. I do have that farm that I built over by my starter house, I guess, that I could use my fire aspect sword on to get some food, but even though that's the reason I actually ended up building that farm in the first place, so I decided to go into the nether and start working on my first ever nether farm. The piglin farm, which basically means we are going to have infinite amounts of food. I dug a pretty easy to use tunnel that I could use to get back to the right point, right next to my nether portal whenever I needed to, and then I started to break some bedrock around where I wanted the top of the tunnel to be. This way we don't have to worry about getting back off the nether roof, we could just go up here and get back down whenever we need to. I realize I've just jumped very quickly over the fact that we've just gone through bedrock to get to the nether roof, and now we're breaking bedrock in hardcore Minecraft. Yeah. I kind of just figured you've seen this stuff by now, like every person is doing it. What's crazy is that this is probably my first time ever in the nether roof. Like, I've never done this before, which is really cool. However, now that we're up here, we can actually start getting to building this farm. You do have to find a really specific biome in the nether to build it, but once we found it, it was actually a really easy farm to build, and like I said before, I'm probably going to be expanding this thing quite a bit and adding a bunch more layers to it, since they're so easy and they really work well for giving a lot of food. So, you know, next episode, if this farm is 5 times higher magically, then you know why. It became very clear very, very quickly, as soon as I'd finished building up the walls of this temple, that it needed a jungle surrounding it. It couldn't just be sat there in the field by itself, because it just didn't look very good. Luckily, there was a jungle that wasn't too far away from my base, which meant I could very easily fly over there, gather as much stuff as I could to make my own jungle, and then try and build a bunch of stuff around the base. And I actually had a lot of fun doing that, but I realized I needed a lot of jungle saplings because I didn't want to fake build every single tree around my base. I'm going to build a few fake trees, that's fine. I didn't want to build every single one of them. So after a while, this is kind of where we got to. It will wrap around fully at some point. I'm a very busy guy. I don't have a lot of time. All right, this is the best I've done. But anyway, it was time to start adding a little bit of detail into the jungle. I wanted this thing to be like a thick jungle where it was actually just hard to walk through. That's probably going to get me killed at some point, but that's what I wanted it to be like. So I started adding some more oak trees below the jungle trees, and I started to make these little rocks in between a bunch of the trees and throw bamboo pretty much everywhere. I even tilled some ground and planted seeds to see what that would look like, and do you know what? I thought it was pretty cool. And as I was growing moss for some other parts of the build, I got a bunch of like azalea plant things, and I spread those around the build as well. So as it stands right now, though it's not finished, it's looking very, very cool. So once I got done digging a giant ravine inside of another giant ravine, I eventually had all of the stone bricks that I needed, and I managed to fill in the floor. I am going to fill the inside of this base at some point with something cool in the middle. I have some ideas, I just don't have the stuff to make it yet. But we're going to have something fill this space up. And I might even blow up a big area beneath this temple to make like underground tunnels or something like that. Basically, the scope of this project is endless, I feel like. And I want you guys to let me know what you think I should do with it. This base could be insane. So once I'd finished the inside, I went back out and added a few more decorations to the base, and I managed to find some moss at some point, like I said, while I was exploring. So now I can add mossy cobblestone and just actual moss to the base if I wanted to. But I'm going to try and build a farm to get loads of moss first, and I'm not going to do that today. So it is at this point right now I am going to leave the base for today, and eventually I'm going to have it all finished. Maybe by the next episode. This project is taking me ages, and trying to balance my actual life with doing this video and not making it take far too long is quite difficult. So I just want to say a massive thank you if you managed to get to this point in the video. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and hopefully I'll be back fairly soon and finishing off the rest of this base. Goodbye.